Well, hello, everyone, and welcome back to the show. I'm so glad you're here with me today because we have a very interesting show coming up, as always. But first, let me tell you why I'm doing these podcasts. You know, it's a natural extension of my leadership development firm I've had for 25 years. I've studied a lot about one's presence, how you show up, and brand who you are as a leader. So I've worked with leadership all my career, working with those people to just need more clarification on both. So if you're one of those people, you be sure and call me. I would love to add you to my client list. Okay, now, the bodybuilding movement. You know, it began in the 1930s when men became interested in developing their physiques. The time was known as the golden age of bodybuilding, and that's when a lot of gyms and training popped up. And that's when a lot of sales soared with the full-length mirror. Stay tuned. I have with me today Greg McCoy, who is an expert in training bodybuilding Olympians.
Welcome to our podcast, Doing It Right. This podcast reveals authentic stories from successful leaders doing it right. It's about their journey to become a leader, their choices, motivations, and lessons. In essence, how they built successful personal brands. Your host is Valerie Sokolosky, author of 8 leadership books and nationally known as an authority on executive presence and personal branding. Let's get started. Here's Valerie.
Okay, so I want to welcome Greg McCoy.
Hey,
Hi.
Valerie, thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
I have never had someone on the show like you, and I have so many questions, first for myself, and then from people who have said, oh, ask him about.
Sure. I love to answer questions, so let's dive in. I'm an open book.
I hope you are, because here we go.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, you look terrific.
Thank you.
But you know, Greg, I have seen men bodybuild so much that they don't look terrific. They kind of look too much. How do you train someone to be an Olympian and still be kind of a normal kind of guy?
Sure. Well, it's two parts to that. First off, the Olympian level athlete. This is most people are going to think of Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's our most mainstream Olympia competitor. Nowadays, we've got Phil Heath is one of the reigning champions of this era. Ronnie Coleman has become relatively mainstream. Those guys aren't normal. They are incredibly genetically gifted. You probably could have picked out the next Mr. Olympia at a childhood pool because they're muscular naturally.
Okay.
They're going to be the biggest guy in their school, on their football team. They won't really ever look normal, especially if they're weight training. They respond so well. Most bodybuilders, though, only look like what you see in the pictures for a few weeks out of the year. When you see somebody, would take me, for example, I look pretty normal, right? Maybe I look like I lift weights every now and then, but if you saw me on stage, you might think I didn't look normal either. You're at a, sub 5% body fat, so you can see all the veins. You're extremely lean. You can see the what we call the striations of the muscle. You just really look like an anatomy chart. We're painted in fake tan so we don't get washed out by the lights, and the lighting and everything. You probably would think I was 100 pounds bigger than I am. But the other 48 weeks out of the year, here you go.
Well, okay, so what is the most weight that you can lift?
So that's actually the sport of powerlifting, where you compete to lift the most weight. I have done a few powerlifting meets. I squatted 640. I bench pressed, I think, 450, and my deadlift was just under 600 pounds.
Oh, that just hurts.
Yeah, powerlifters walk around funny after a while, which is why I prefer bodybuilding over powerlifting, because if you try to push the limits, sometimes you find it.
I'm sorry, I have to laugh because I can just see people walking around after they've tried to do that. So I have to think about the mindset, Greg, of someone who wants to do this, the grit, and who is the typical person that gets into this sport?
Coaching bodybuilders, and when I say bodybuilding, I'm going to encompass females as well. And we've got nowadays in modern bodybuilding competitions, you've got the least muscular female division, which is the bikini division. And these girls are just going to look like a very fit female. They look by no means like a bodybuilder. And then there's different levels of muscularity as you work your way up to the open men's class, which is the biggest of the big guys. And you get a variety of walks of life. I mean, generally, these are people that enjoy pushing themselves to the limit to find out what their body can do. You'll find a similar mindset in professional athletes, be it football players, or we have a lot of friends that are former special forces that come to bodybuilding. The other side of that is a lot of people honestly start working out because of some kind of insecurity.
Really?
Yeah, that's not an uncommon trait.
Tell us more.
Yeah, you maybe were picked on in middle school, and so you decided that you wanted to be bigger. To try to prevent that, or maybe you weren't attractive to the opposite sex, so you wanted to change your body to change that. So the roots of it can be kind of interesting, and you run into those as a coach, and as a coach that really wants to get to know their client, you need to know why they're doing it, and it takes time to pull back the layers, but sometimes you find that the motivating factor, originally at least, might have been some kind of personal insecurity. But not always. Like I said, a lot of people find out, and I can fall myself into this category. I played sports and was very good at sports up until the collegiate level, and then I stopped playing sports, but I still wanted to compete. And I still wanted to push myself and see what I can do. And I honestly loved, the regimen of training and the process and the self-improvement aspect of it all. It has improved my life so much that I really enjoy it just because of the process itself, not so much for the outcome.
When did you first decide that this was really a passion for you?
I was going with my mom to the gym. She would put me in the daycare, and I would see, people working out. She would take me to the body shop and stick me in the daycare. And then finally, I was 13 years old. I was playing football, and we were doing push-ups and stuff. But I had begged my dad to join a gym. And so he lied about my age. He told him I was a year older than I was, and I joined the local recreation center. I didn't know what I was doing at all. I would go in and just put as much as I could on the bench press machine and try it every day, which is not the way to do it. And then I just became really, really into it. I was reading the magazines, I would read the books, and then after sports kind of ended, at 18 years old, I hired a local bodybuilding trainer, and I did my first bodybuilding competition at 19 years old. That was, I guess, 16 years ago. So I've been at it ever since. Yeah.
And your wife?
Yeah, my wife is the true talent in the household. She made it way further than I ever will. We met, and that's a story in and of itself, but I recognized talent in her for this new division. At the time, the bikini division had just started. It was maybe a year old. And I met her and I said, hey, I think, you would be perfect for this. You've got the look, you move right, and you've got all the tools to do it. And so I trained her for maybe 3 months, and she won the local show. She won the whole thing, beat everybody.
Really?
Yeah, didn't know up from down in the sport of bodybuilding, and won the whole thing. And so, fast forward a year later, and we hit a few national level shows, and she turned professional, less than 2 years after we met. And then she was a 5-time Olympian, magazine covers all over the world. She's had an amazing run. So.
Lance, isn't that interesting? Well, what a blessing. How did you decide you were then sort of interested?
Yeah, sure. Well, I was interested from the get-go. I can't lie about that. She's the most beautiful girl I've ever seen, and I'll say that with my hand on a Bible to this day.
There you go.
I did approach her as a trainer, and I was trying to work my way up too. I wanted to build my name as a trainer, so I said, let's try this together. I think you can do it. And we had chemistry. I was coaching her every day. You spend 5 hours a week with someone one-on-one.
You know her.
Yeah, it's quality time. And we were good for about a year. We both had other relationships, but things just grew in that direction. And, finally it was, I asked her on a date and she said no. And then I asked her on another date and she said yes. And, it took me some time, but, we eventually graduated from trainer client to husband wife.
That's great. What a great story.
Yeah.
I'm interested for a particular reason. I know someone who works out all the time, Greg, for the wrong reasons. And as you said, you get to know someone before you work with them. What do you do with someone psychologically or spiritually or anywhere you want to take it when someone comes and the reason is a little bit, I'll just say, off? What does off look like, and how do you get through that?
Yeah, you've got to address it. And we also, as trainers, we stay in our lane. We're not therapists.
No.
Though we can. The way I approach those situations, and I own a gym, hidden gym. We've got two locations and a team of great coaches. And we, as coaches, it's always important that we find our clients' why. We go through a goal setting process, and part of that goal setting process involves what we call the 7 layers of why. So you ask yourself why up to 7 times. Client says, I want to compete. You say, why? Well, I think I'd be good at it and I want to give it a try. Well, why? Well, and you go through this 7 times and you land, and it starts to get hard after about 4 times.
Yes.
And then, then we really get into the deep stuff there. And, there you'll find, I want to set a good example for my kids. I want to maximize my potential. I want to prove to my ex that I'm better than her. You start to get to some stuff, and maybe it's not so healthy, but you need to address that because it's very difficult. Bodybuilding is a 24-hour-a-day sport. The diet is 80% of the results. So you don't get a day. It's not like sports where you're tired and you can go out with the boys afterwards and recharge. You go eat your Tupperware and you go to bed on time. It's hard. It's a Spartan lifestyle. And so you got to find this out, because when it gets hard, clients need to be able to rely on why they started, so that when they don't want to do it, they need to remember why they started, and that is what's going to get them out of bed, or get them to the gym that day, or to go to dinner and not order bread or whatever it might be.
That relates very much to something you shared with me about discipline over motivation. Tell us about the discipline over motivation.
Yeah, we talk. Everybody talks about motivation all the time, and I got to get motivated so I can get to the gym. And we tell our members and clients, and we have this plastered in our locker room: discipline beats motivation, because motivation comes and goes. You're not going to be motivated every day. And this is true in the sphere of business as well as it is in the gym. You're not going to want to do it every day. And the people that succeed are the ones that will show up when they don't want to. The people that, if you only go on the good days, you're never going to achieve anything. So we really preach, you've got to rely on, we do daily habits, weekly habits, and monthly habits. And if you can lock those down, you can achieve anything.
So you're kind of helping them motivate, whatever word you want to say.
Sure.
Greg, when I talk about motivation, or someone, I will ask if I'm doing a keynote speech.
Sure.
I might say, how many of you think that you can motivate other people? And the hands all go up, Greg.
Sure.
I can motivate other people, right?
Yeah.
And then I will say something like, have you ever been approached by someone, let's say, that was so passionate about some multi-level product, an Amway or whatever? And they all go, yes. And then my question follows, well, did you join that organization? No. Well, why? They were motivated. So the point is, it's got to be an internal little spark. You've got to do that yourself.
That's right.
And then you got to follow it right.
Yeah,
Exactly what you're saying.
you need to empower that person to be motivated from within. It's so frustrating because we love these people. These are our members. These are our clients. Some of these people we've been working with more than a decade, and it's physically painful when you want it more than they do.
Oh.
It is, because you can't, that's nothing that you can create in that person. It has to come from inside of them.
Do you fire them?
No, I don't. I try not to give up on people. And we as a team, we really try. We have fired clients, usually not for that reason, many other reasons, and those are entertaining stories. But, we try to stick with people, and just sometimes you feel like you're beating the head against the wall. But it's like what's the story of the guy with the chisel, right? There's a great visual of that, and you don't know. You can chisel and chisel and chisel for 10 years, and you don't know when the final strike is going to get you through the wall, right? So that's how we approach it, and you just got to keep doing your job day in and day out. And we have to be disciplined too to get the clients
I
there.
bet you do. Tell us a story you want to tell us.
I'm trying to think of a great bodybuilding story that would have.
Well, it doesn't have to be bodybuilding.
Sure.
It can be about you starting the business or how you feel about life. I don't care.
Yeah. I was a bodybuilder at the age of 19, but it was always my dream. I was been in the gym since I was 13 years old. I would go with my dad. We would work out. We would drink protein shakes together. And I was with my mom even as a toddler going to the gym, right? And my dad is a business owner, a former business owner. He's retired now. So I had it. I loved the idea of business ownership, and I loved bodybuilding since I was a kid. And around the age of 15 or 16, I had made up my mind I wanted to own gyms. And it's when it started for me. And I had business plans, and I had names of gyms, and I would go visit gyms. And my dad introduced me to a few gym owners. He was an insurance agent, so he had some clients that owned gyms, and I'd go sit on their back porch and talk to them at 16 years old. Oh. And so I, like you, went to Oklahoma State, a couple Cowboys here.
Yes.
And so I used my time I really valued my time at Oklahoma State for a lot of reasons, but the education being a big part of it. And I used that time to hone that plan. How can I make this a reality? And the stats about new businesses, 80% fail in year one, 90% after year two. It's not good. How can I not be that guy, right? And so my intention was to start a personal training studio out of college. I was lucky enough, or I guess worked hard enough through school to go on an academic scholarship. So my dad had said that college money could go to starting a business. I met, for any bodybuilding fans watching, there's a famous bodybuilding gym in Arlington, Texas. It's known around the world, Metroflex Gym. It's where two of the greatest bodybuilding champions of all time came just down the street here.
Really?
Yeah, it's a hole in the wall. I lived in Arlington my whole life and didn't really know it existed until I was about to leave.
Dang.
Yeah. But so out of this little hole in the wall comes these great champions, and I started working out there in the summer when I started competing. And I met the owner there, Brian Dobson, a wonderful guy. Can't say enough good things about Brian, but he was trying to expand. He had this world famous gym that was a single location. He kind of had a world renowned name and was wanted to expand it. And I wanted to open a training studio, and he more or less talked me into opening the first outside of the original Metroflex Gym. And so I opened that at Plano at the ripe age of 22. A few things fell in line. I like to say that was God's involvement. I don't think it was luck. I think it was part of a bigger plan in my life. And I started that first gym in 2009. And fast forward, I guess 13, 14 years later, and I've been doing it ever since. We've got multiple locations. We're growing fast. So that my love for bodybuilding and my ambition in business are blended so well. I really just enjoy every single day, and that enthusiasm, I think, really pushes our success.
And you're not enthusiastic and grateful at all, are you?
None, yeah.
You know, Greg, one of the things that I so appreciated about you when we talked was you shared about a failure. And let's not just think of that everything as a success in life. We all have those times.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, that's my biggest failure. I'm maybe 5 years past it now. I'm almost to the point where I can be thankful for it. I'm still a little angry, but I'm working on it. Right. To not get in too much of it and to keep it productive, I start this bodybuilding gym, and it goes great, better than everyone told me that it would. Nobody really thought much of it. I started it also in 2009, which wasn't exactly the most economically strong time.
Oh.
So most people thought I was a young kid destined to waste my college savings money, right? And we excelled, and so we end up a couple years later. I have a chance, an opportunity to build a building and really create this incredible gym. And growing up in Arlington, I worked out at a Gold's Gym and this hole-in-the-wall Metroflex. Mm-hmm. And Metroflex was, Brian, forgive me, but I won't be the first one that said it. The equipment is junky. It's old. It's piled on top of each other. It's hard to work out there. But the environment, you can't go there and not have a good workout. The music's pumping. The people are there to work hard. So I was just, my whole dream was, how do we, put these two together? The equipment and the cleanness and the businessness of a Gold's Gym meets the environment of a Metroflex. And when I built this building, that really came to life. And that was a project that we called Destination. And it was such a cool place. And it became kind of a mecca of sorts. And I was really proud of its progress. However, in the process, I took on partners. And they were a lot more successful than me. They were significantly older than me. And it started good, but it didn't go as planned. And we started to just hit roadblock after roadblock. And I just, 5 years down the line, I didn't believe in what we were doing anymore. And we weren't having success, and I didn't enjoy my day to day. And I was so far in, everyone's probably been there before. You're like, I've sunk so much into this. I can't stop now. But eventually, and this is really when I got reacquainted in my relationship with God. And I was praying about it in tears at times, because this was, a life that I loved and was so passionate about. And I got to the point where, and I can't quote the verse right off, but, it was to, not rely on your own understanding, but trust, God's purpose in your life. And I just one day I said, this is it. I'm pulling the plug. And I left with nothing. I left with scraps. 10 years of hard work, almost completely gone. And so I guess, the mistake there, I trusted people that I probably shouldn't. I was too trusting. I assumed that someone more successful than me knew all the answers. I didn't, look what they've done. I haven't done much. They must know better than me. And so that really, really hurt. And I spent a year kind of sulking, and I took a break. I didn't want a lease. I didn't want an employee. I personal trained clients because that's what I loved. And I worked with clients one-on-one to earn a little money. And then an opportunity came about to buy a gym that was struggling. And that's when my wife and I created Hidden Gym. And that 10 years has really come to pay off, all those lessons learned, because now, the company has just got its foot on the accelerator, and we have such an amazing team with us, and everything happens for a reason. And like I said, I'm not fully over it. That scab still bleeds from time to time, but we're getting there.
Thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
So I just have to tag on to it and say that there are times in our life where things happen and we can only turn to two places, up or in. And I think you made the point that turning in isn't always going to work out, but
Right.
turning up will always take you through. So that's a great testimony, and I appreciate you sharing that very much. You know, that's exactly what you shared with me in our call. You said, listen to God and to your heart, and you did that, and that worked out really well. The other thing we talked about, Greg, was who you spend your time with.
Yeah, you know that I had some time to reflect, and I wasn't very content in that time because I wasn't pushing. I'm a very driven person, and time to reflect is uncomfortable for me. But I had some time, right? And I'm a big reader. I love to read. I've read over 150 books. It's a part of my daily habit. And any success book you read, and it's also in the book of Proverbs, is essentially you are who you spend the most time with. And so I hear this over and over and over again. And in my period of reflection, I don't have as much work to do, right? I'm training a few clients every day. I don't have a company anymore. I take the last 10 years of my career, I write it out on a page, 2009 through maybe 2017, whenever that was. And I put the 5 people I spent the most time with in every year. And I just kind of reflected. I said, what happened in that year? And how did those people affect the outcome? I can see years when I was training with pro bodybuilders and working hard, and I was achieving my best results on stage. I can see times when I was with friends of faith and maybe my life was in a little better alignment spiritually. I can see times where I was, with the business partner that kind of veered me off course, and some negative qualities that came out of that time period. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to decide. It's up to me, right? I'm holding the pin. So I picked 5 people and I took them all to lunch one at a time. And I said, hey, look, this is what I did. And I really respect you. I would like you to rub off on me. And I'd like to think I could rub off on you. So you're in my top 5 this year. Congratulations. And we're going to be seeing a lot of each other.
That is a great leadership lesson for all of us, right?
Yeah.
We can all do that. And I think many of the things, Greg, that you shared about today were just take-homes for anybody who does anything in life, not even in business, but in life. You've given us some great teachable points of view. Is there anything else you'd like to share before we close this one out? It's been fascinating.
I will always take the chance to sell a healthy lifestyle and exercise. It's so important, and it's kind of a sad state of affairs from my point of view. We know more than ever about how to be healthy, about the benefits of exercise. This is not in the 50s. This was new information. It's old news at this point, and the obesity epidemic is growing. Heart disease is the majority of cardiovascular disease is the #1 killer, and the majority of that is preventable. And so it's just sad that we can't change this, as especially in the United States, where we're not leading by example by any means. We have some of the worst stats in the world. So I think it can start simple. People need to just move more. It's simple. You need to exercise 30 minutes a day if you can. Doesn't have to be every day, 4 or 5 times a week, and eat less calories than you burn. And if we could just get people in a healthy body weight, it solves 8 out of 10 problems. And it's simple but difficult. So you have to find what works for you. And so I always encourage people to do that. You don't obviously need to bodybuild. That's an extreme. But to take a 30-minute walk 5 days a week is a great start. And to eat healthy, not rely on fast foods. And there's all this complicated health advice. I gave some of it in the lobby, right?
Yes.
But it's behavioral. The number one success predictor for people to lose weight is preparing their meals in advance. If you can
That's a good tip.
If you can get somebody to prepare their meals in advance, ideally you're not hungry when you do it. You say, I'm going to eat this. They're intentional about what they eat. They're going to lose the weight. So, exercise is amazing. It makes you feel better. You'll live longer. It's better for your brain. You're going to look better. If you could put it in a pill, it'd be the best-selling drug in the world. And it can be free.
Yeah.
We charge for it at Hidden Gym, right? But we add a little bit to it. But I would encourage everybody to exercise and learn a little bit of something about healthy eating, because it's very important.
And that's all fabulous advice. You're right. It's so simple and it's free.
Yeah.
Should someone want to come to your gym, and it's now on the banner where you can be located, are they coming there? Can they come there for other things other than bodybuilding?
Of course, yeah.
Tell us.
We specialize kind of in a lot of different specialties. We have people that are competitive. That's probably only 20% of our gym's population. But we're a work hard gym. We like people, whether you're working hard to lose 10 pounds or working hard to be an Olympian. We share the same space. And you're going to get a fist bump if you're there to work hard. If you're there to talk on the phone and waste time, you don't get the fist bump.
There you go.
You can find us at hiddengym.net. We've got a wonderful personal training program. All the things I've been talking about today goes into those clients. We're providing exercise programs, customized diet programs, and you don't just get the program while you're with us. We send you've got an app. You've got all your workouts for the week in there. There's accountability built in. We're going to do goal setting with you. We've got a state-of-the-art 3D body scanner. So we've got, it takes measurements of your entire body. So we know, the loss or gain in circumference. We know your body fat percentage. We monitor everything. It's foolproof. If you can follow directions, we will get you to where you want to go. Guaranteed.
I was going to say, and that's your promise.
That's it.
Greg, I've been to a lot of gyms. I haven't been to yours. And from what you're saying, it's what every gym should be. Instead of just pay a membership, go in, get on a machine, and there you go. So thank you for that.
You're so welcome. We would love to have you guys.
That's fabulous. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you, Valerie.
Build one closer to where I live.
I'm working on it.
Are you?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you know where to go. And listen, take advantage of some of those free tips. Those are just lifestyle tips, and they're important. They're important for us. If we're going to live a good life, we have to do it in here, and all over here. So that's how I'm going to end the show for you.
That's perfect.
Okay. Now, I have a Valerieism for today, as I always do, and here it is. Don't wait for the perfect idea. That's really so simple, isn't it? I'll tell you why that came to me to give to you today. Because recently, I have been waiting for the right idea. I've got so many ideas. Someone said to me one time, Valerie, you're like a popcorn popper. You've got so many ideas, but the good thing is most of them fall in the bowl and get eaten. Well, this one wasn't even falling in the bowl, but I just kept churning it and churning it and churning it. And finally one day I said to self, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? It may be an idea that's the best idea since sliced bread. So do something. And that's my Valerieism for today. Don't wait for the perfect idea. Just go for it.
Thanks for listening. To receive Valerie's voice, free monthly leadership tips, and to learn more about her leadership programs and coaching, visit her website, valerieandcompany.com. Next week, we'll be here again to inspire, engage, and equip you with teachable points of view from successful leaders who have been doing it right. Until then, lead authentically.